Welcome, Madam Chair, Vice Chair of this board, Kim Leonard. And if everyone could just real quickly, I think she knows everybody, but we just go around and just say who you are for Kim.
I'm Brian.
He lives. It's a bonus point in case anyone wants to move to this. I don't know which way we're gonna go. Go ahead, we'll go backwards.
Okay. I'm Keystone Gans. I own a few businesses in Wayne County. I live in Sodus. I have a business in Lyons, Newark, Sodus, and North Rose. Yep, so
Mary McDonald, born and raised here in Lyons. I'm the Director of Credit Administration for Lyons National Bank.
Julie DeLella, my family and I, we own a company called Empire Wrecking in Ontario. I live in Ontario. We own a lot of property in the county in a bunch of different towns.
Hey, thanks for doing that before.
John Morrell, I grew up in Macedon, and I'm General Counsel for the IDA
Girl, where?
in Macedon.
She just likes to hear.
I do.
Hi, I'm Katie Wisniewski. I'm the Assistant Secretary. I grew up in Red Creek and moving to Clyde.
Jamie Cordova, Fiscal Officer. Grew up in Williamson and then went really far right into Marion, first house in Marion. Family Guild President of Reliance Credit Union, and I've been on the IDA board for a long time, on and then off and back on. So.
They have a way to do that.
And I've been so yes, they do have a way to keep you around as deputy director.
Thank you. A number of
Well, welcome, Kim.
things. Thank you.
Everyone got a chance to read the minutes from February 25th. Any questions? I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? We'll move on to discuss the audit.
Hi Mara, can you hear me? So we have Mara and Chris here. They're from EFPR, our auditing firm. And we did go over our entire audit wrap document and the audited financials earlier in depth with our audit and finance committee, but they are here to, one, just kind of spell out overall big picture of the audit and answer any questions you guys might have. All right, Mara.
Yes, I had a question on page 5, this is Pamela. At the top of page 5, can you just speak to the minor items that were found at the top? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on, we have a resolution accepting and authorizing the submission of the WCIDA 2024 Certified Financial Audit Report and Annual Paris Report to Paris.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Five as well, too.
Yep, resolution authorizing WCIDA reinvestment funding for maturing LNB CD number 1507.
We just did four, we need
Yep. So
five.
we have one
and then
more, it's a
six.
similar Paris report, one number 5, which is the,
I jumped ahead one.
Yes, yeah, I make a motion, we pass resolution accepting all of that for number 5.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll move on to number 6, the motion to accept. You wanna talk about that, Brian, or we good?
We spoke about it in committee, go ahead.
I just had a question, on the page that had everything listed, it looked, if I read it correctly, 1.6 million in a checking earning nothing at LNB, is that accurate?
IDA.
IDA. I didn't know if we had to keep a certain amount in there, that has to be liquid, and can't be invested in anything.
Nope, you are no.
Yeah, that's our operating account.
And is that, do we have more in there than we need to, or is there anything else?
Well,
If there's another year like last year, yeah, you know?
Or maybe is there a money market available where it could still serve as checking but earn
So-
something?
Yep, so we do have a money market, and this, let's see. This kind of ties in to our CD conversation too. So we did take out about like 300,000 a couple years ago to kind of do some stuff with CDs. One is a little over 100,000, another is 200,000. The 100,000 is maturing at the end of the month, so the audit and finance, did review that, and then provided their recommendation for that one. And the 200,000 matures at the end of September. At the time, the board felt 300,000 was good to put into CDs. We could always look to take more out of the operating account and put into more CDs if that's the best option. We also do have a money market, and this is the historic analysis of that. Let me zoom in a little more. So we started this account, sorry, this mouse is acting so weird. So we started the account in October of 23 with about 600,000. And then, so each month we're gaining about $2,000 worth of interest. We can easily move some of the operating money from our main checking into that.
And
it
then
kinda all
move it back
depends.
if we need it.
Yep, exactly. Kind of all depends what projects are forthcoming, if we're gonna need anything for Butler Prison or for the railroad or,
The operating account's not interest bearing.
Well, it has like 0.025.
very
Pretty much zero.
Raise my hand.
Well, there'd be no reason not to put it to the money market, it's not like you're locking it up
Right.
longer term to CD. We talked a little bit in the audit meeting, finance meeting, I guess, about some of the CFDC money too. in doing something like that, big that in the city.
So you wanna bring back a recommendation, or do you wanna, put it, have all
What's
these
the balance of there's about
1.6 million?
1.6. 600 additional? I mean, I like the idea of having some cash available, but
But even in the money market, it's available.
Still available.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Unless there's some, governing that
There isn't.
dictates that it.
Personally,
no,
personally, I think that's more secure as well. Our operating account, that's where all of our checks are coming from, being mailed, going through all of that, so with the 1.6. So if we do move a majority of those funds into our money market, that's not our operating funds per se, so it's not gonna be checks going out.
How much would you be comfortable moving?
I suggested 600,000, but maybe that's not far enough, is that?
You can always move it back.
Well, how much is in there?
1.6, right now we do have about 620 in the money market.
I mean, if we have a loan come up, right, then
That's completely
It's not
separate.
Completely
not loan
separate.
funds.
what
This
expenses
is
will we
what
have
you
if
have
we use
to
it even,
Right, this is literally just for if we wanna buy a piece of property, if we want to, do something
Yeah,
with Butler.
A number of other things, but yeah,
If you can move it,
Is it like mine,
take
where you
a
just
big
go for
portion
money
of it
market
then.
and transfer it when you need it?
Yeah, we can
Right.
transfer.
So
There's no reason
1.2,
to have any. That way you have some in there, but then we put a big
Yeah, I
portion of it in.
Would you wanna leave a little bit?
We're gonna need a little bit,
Under
just cause we
1.5?
do take in 12,500 every quarter from the county to this. Those funds do get transferred to EDC and CFDC to pay for their audits or their insurance and stuff like that. So that money does go back and forth, and it is easy to move it from account to account within the same bank. Where this is, the money market's a different bank.
Would you be okay with 1.5?
That might be pushing it.
pushing it a little bit,
Yeah.
I'd say maybe
Why don't we do an easy million?
Yeah,
I think it's a great thing.
Okay, let's do an easy million.
Everyone okay with that?
Good, yep,
make a motion to do that.
second.
Sit down.
also discussed the rates this morning and the term, so we're gonna look, Savannah offered the best 6-month rate, we're gonna ask them if they'll honor that rate for 9 months. So we're gonna be reinvesting, this is the same CD, right? Am I jumping ahead?
Yes. No, yep,
Yeah.
go ahead.
6 months, Savannah, for what was it,
4.25.
4.25. We'll see if they'll go as long as 9 months with the same rate. But Jamie did a cost comparison here.
Jamie, what are you making in your money market?
About give or take 2,000 a month. February was 2,100. Oh, I'm so sorry. That fluctuates too. Right now it's 4.66.
That's pretty good.
And it's gone over the time it's 5.2, 5.22, and then down to 5.1, and then 4. So it is fluctuating, but.
We're okay to go back to the resolution? Adopting Lincoln ADA reinvestment funding for the maturing LMDCD number 1507.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Who's second?
I think so.
You just received a new pilot application. It is called 112 West Water Street LLC. It is a property in the village of Newark, and this is an adaptive reuse project for our pilots. So for this project, it is in regards to residential housing. With our adaptive reuse policy, with our IDA, this came about through the county housing frame, identifying a need to rehab properties that have been vacant for several years, and an approach to do that is adaptive reuse. So this is our first application as an adaptive reuse pilot. And this property is located in the village of Newark. It used to be the Newark Hospital, and it's over 100 years old, and has been vacant for over 20 years. years. One of our requirements is that it has to be vacant for 3 or more years or have less than 50% of the space occupied. So this does qualify. The applicant, which is Capstone, can you scroll down a little bit more? Thank you. To the project description. Thank you. Is to do 9 units. 7 will be market rate and 2 will be affordable housing units. This will not create a lot of jobs because it is mostly about the reuse of a specific building, which is 9,000 square feet. So it'll just be about 1/2 employment. This project is also working in tandem with the Village of Newark through the DRI program in Village of Newark. And the total project cost is about $2.7 million. If you could scroll up a little bit more, up.
All the way.
In regards to the company incentives, we have the real estate property tax around $700,000 for this pilot program, but just take a note. The applicant is still getting in contact with the assessor to get a better understanding of what the potential future assessed value will be. They've been playing phone tag. But we do have an amount for their sales tax exemption and their mortgage tax exemption, and this would be a 10-year pilot.
I think it's good to know too, there's 45 construction jobs that'll be
Correct.
temporary, but at least
Yes.
something's being created.
Yes.
So I have 2 questions, Katie. In the paragraph down below, it says that they will receive. So is it past tense, they have received or they will receive?
They will receive, yes.
Cause there's a typo in that section.
Okay.
And the second question I had is just, this matches our housing.
Yes.
What we've
It
done.
falls in line with our adaptive reuse policy. Correct.
Have we used the adaptive? Is this the first time we've used it?
Yes, this is our first one. We did just approve it, we approved it in the summer of 2023, and this is our first adaptive.
A great example of what we're trying to do with this
Right.
pipeline.
Yes.
First try here, see how things go.
Correct.
So it fits all other criteria that you normally do.
It is.
Timeline.
Yep, same approach. It's the 10-year pilot, so again, it's 0% of the new assessed value for the first 5 years and then 50% the last 5 years, which is typical with our other pilots, excluding solar. So it is the same. This initial resolution does a few things. It accepts the application, it authorizes scheduling the public hearing, and then finalizing those last items that I just talked about in regards to talking with the assessor about the potential future assessed value. So we're getting some of those next steps done as well, but that's what this
So is it
initial
possible the amount would change based on
It could.
that conversation?
Yes, it could. Yeah. The estimate I put for that was based off of the total project cost minus agency fees and legal fees, as well as agency legal fees. So that was around 2.4 or maybe 2.6, I'm forgetting the exact amount. I meant 2.6, but that's where the initial came from. But again, once the applicant gets in touch with the assessor, that's when we can have a better understanding of what the potential future assessed value will look like. And then that helps us also with our cost benefit analysis.
Okay, could we just change that to 9-10 to keep that in line with our,
Oh, they can, yep.
I can't change it here, but
No, I
she'll
know.
change it on it, okay.
I make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Okay, we're moving on to fiscal officer's report.
Alright, these are the bank balances as of the 18th. This is the 1.6 that Pamela referenced earlier, so we will be moving it from the blue to the green. The yellow is the maturing CD, that will be, hopefully moving over to Savannah with that locked-in rate. Next portion is your budget versus actuals. So you have your budget, you have your actuals on the left, your budget in the middle, and then the percentage overall. The budget is for the full year. We did take in our first quarter of the quarterly funds from the county. Those have been expensed down below to the EDC and the CCFDC as needed for their insurance and for their upcoming audit as well. For that, the pitch competition, the IDA sponsors the marketing of the pitch competition, so a bunch of those expenses have come out, along with just a couple others throughout the year so far in March. Okay, so over the next month or so, we expect to see a pilot application fee come in, along with more quarterly income, which should be April 1st from the county, then another $12,500. For expenses, we see the county contractual expenses, that'll be like the audit and insurance, lease copier, those sorts. Pitch competition sponsorship fees going out, and then any trainings or conference expenses for that. Next portion, this is just a report we put together for an assessment of our internal controls. This page goes into our annual report for Paris. And the audit and finance did look over this report too this morning.
Thank you. Let's move on, Brian.
Well, project updates,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
so, okay, what we're gonna talk about this?
Yeah, so this is our performance, our mission statement and performance goals. The only thing that has changed is something that we discussed with the governance committee, and let's scroll down one more page.
Next one.
Go up. Yes, so the only measurement, and this is something we've been discussing, and so we thought we'd put this as a measure, which is at the top one. It's the first one. It says review, research, identify, and implement locally appropriate solutions for workforce housing. That's something we started talking about both at the governance committee and at the IDA board. And so it's not solidified exactly what we're gonna do with this, but we're starting the discussion. So those have started, and so this is just an additional measurement from the measurements we had last year.
Housing. We're all talking housing. Any questions on any of this, kid? Let's see here, so,
I have shared a copy of our annual report with the county board of supervisors. I will send it to you all after this meeting. So covers the entire department, so it'll be planning work and economic development work in the report. You can see how they're correlated and interlocked. Specific project updates on the IDA side, so we are continuing to move through the process of the acquisition and disposition of the correction facility. Mid-April's kind of the target date there. Got the ticking clock with the state. We have draft purchase and sale terms from them that are under review, and we'll go back and forth and finalize that in the next couple of weeks. But everything's moving in the right direction. Significant amount of confidence we'll get to a closing mid to late April timelines dependent. On the annual report, it's up here, I'll note that the court ruled in favor of a group of assessors who argued that the state's assessment tool for solar projects was not appropriate. I'll say it that way instead of lawful, because I'm not a lawyer, but unclear what that means as far as actions as of today. It could put a stake on the use of the assessment tool. It could keep it in place in case of a appeal. But in general, what this means is that I expect, if it holds, that we'll see an uptick in solar applications to the IDA moving forward, given the balance between the assessment tool and solar project development and use of the pilot agreement.
Brian, the assessment tool is making the property worth more.
Less, well, worth more, right, assessed at a lower rate. So typical assessor rule of thumb, and I don't need to speak for all of them altogether, but about $1 million a megawatt. So we typically see around a 5 megawatt project that will put about 5 million in assessed value on the books. New York State Department of Tax, via direction from the state, created a discounted cash flow model tool for assessors to use to value solar projects that, if you use the tool today, which I did a couple times over the last several weeks, 5 megawatt project will be around 3.5. These are very round numbers and high level, but that would, it's a smaller assessed value than what I think a typical assessor will put on a books. Now, all that being said, pilot has still been an option along the way for solar project developers, but I think they've deferred to, we'll rely on the assessment tool, and it's discounted process, and every year it's updated, and assessors are intended to go back and revalue projects every year. Incredibly cumbersome, very unpredictable in my mind, especially given this new judgment from the court. So if I'm a solar developer, I would prefer the very predictable path of a pilot, which I kind of expected, but we have not seen. All this is to be determined. This just came down, I think the actual case was decided on 3.5 weeks ago, something like that. But pretty substantial given the nuanced, detailed things buried within pilots and assessments and solar project development. So keeping an eye on that, and we'll see how things go.
So it seems like that with that position that New York State is promoting solar over giving advantages to other types of industry that are paying tax at a higher level.
I would say the state has a priority for solar development. I would absolutely agree with that. They've been very clear about that in the CLCPA and all the project. CLCPA is a long acronym. Don't ask me what it all stands for, but it's the Climate Action Plan adopted by law in the state of New York to reduce carbon emissions, and solar is a big part of that entire initiative. Supporting them through benefits, discounts, so NYSERDA offers incentives for solar project development. There's federal tax credit, but this was, can't speak for the motivations of it, but I would expect that it would be pretty clear.
Common sense would tell you that's the
Right.
intent.
The intent would be to continue to push down costs for solar development to encourage
Which is why they were using the assessment tool versus coming for a pilot.
solar project developers. I think it's a business, their business is in and of themselves, right? Solar projects, right? They're just,
Right, so it would make
Income,
more sense for
revenue,
them to
expenditures.
go to that tool.
if it
than
costs me
come
less,
us. that's why.
in taxes, I'll go that path.
Yeah.
And taxes and all the other things associated with pilots. But given this court decision, I think the equation's changed pretty substantially, and probably from an industry perspective, pretty dramatically. To be determined, we have seen, so county planning, county economic development planning board, meets monthly. We see site plans for projects across the county. We've seen 3 or 4 solar projects over the last, let's say, year and a half. I've asked them in those meetings, hey, are you intending to come in the ID? And they're like, no, I think we're gonna just go with the straight assessment. Okay, that's your prerogative. But we've got 2 on the planning board tomorrow. We'll see what that approach. It's a developer, solar developer we have not worked with in the past. Not sure what their approach will be given the court order.
What's the name?
Solar Liberty is the applicant.
We have Dimension.
Dimension's another new one. Haven't heard of that.
So does it change any level of control that we have at a county level?
I would say, so the mechanism we have discussed and had generally in place for the balance between accommodating projects and farmland protection has
Yeah.
been through the IDA.
And now it's,
And if they're not coming to the IDA, kind of lose the opportunity to apply that tool, if you will, which is effectively, if you're using the top solar groups in New York for solar project development, then there's an extra fee associated with that, and the generation of that fee would give us an opportunity to apply it to a farmland protection grant opportunity that we see through the Farm Ag Development Board. There's one in Williamson right now that we're looking at, but our ability to accommodate solar projects and then invest in protecting farmland in other areas of the county has been the plan. Without the process and mechanisms provided through the IDA, we just don't have that opportunity, so.
I may be remembering correctly, but I thought there was a requirement or a law or something that they had to come through the county.
They don't have to,
Or something that said,
There's a
like,
lot of
each municipality kind of had something a little bit different.
yeah,
that.
so as a condition of permitting projects locally, municipalities can require a pilot. They can require a pilot with the IDA. They don't need to require a pilot.
So it depends
Of
on
the
whether or not the
15 or
municipalities
20
require it.
Right,
That's what I'm
and the
remembering.
language in everybody's local law is a little different. Some say county industrial development agency, some just say pilot. Each individual taxing jurisdiction are by law allowed to execute pilot agreements in and of themselves. Through the IDA effectively, hopefully everybody sees this as, we're taking that burden off of you, we're comfortable managing these 15-year pilot agreements with solar projects. And the annual process of billing and collecting and all the other things, not to mention the finalization of the pilot agreement. School, county, town. The county has opted out of the exemption, so this is where just things get very muddy very fast, If you're not opted out, it's exempt from taxation, effectively starting at a 0 point. If you have opted out, if I'm saying this right, not getting lost in this, like the county has, it's fully taxable without a pilot. Fully taxable at what assessed value and all the other nuances associated with all of that compound things quite a bit, frankly, but
I think if you think we wanted the control of that piece was important, the balancing of the farmland piece, we would just work with everybody to make sure there is that language in there that says the pilot is.
all of the towns and villages have communicated with them as best as you can, mostly via email, like, hey, by the way, if you see a solar project at the town applying for a permit, send them our way or let them know that we can handle the pilot stuff. If they say, no, we're good, we don't want a pilot, then.
Right, I'm saying it's too bad there can't be language or people haven't worked on getting language that doesn't give them the option.
Right, it requires it.
It required,
No,
like that right that was in there to start with, that you said you could in fact be in there, they have to have. It seems like that's the solution to the farmland.
There have been discussions with solar developers about the legality of that in and of itself. Whether or not we can require a pilot in lieu of full taxation. Discussions and back and forth, frankly, with a developer's attorney and Justin. If somebody says, I'm fine, just tax me fully, I'm not sure you can make them enter into a pilot agreement.
So it goes back to each town having their,
Each
like
town
we've
has to
talked
have-
about
right.
to 100 times, that each town has to have their own plan and their own.
We gotta be cooperative, right, in the school districts as well for that matter, and it's a cooperative approach. We've seen a solar developer, frankly, approach individual taxing jurisdictions even given notice. It's a hard space to police, if you will. But as long as we continue to send the message out there that, one, if a solar project approaches you locally on a permitting process, they have to come to the county for site plan review in any case. So it gives me the opportunity to say, hi, also wear a different hat here representing the IDA. It's up to the town as part of their permitting process to direct them one way or the other to a pilot agreement. And then the question mark as to whether or not they want to just put me on the tax rolls and tax me fully, or I want a pilot, how do I go about doing that?
Dimension Solar was very clear that they wanted to be taxed.
They were up until
Right.
a couple weeks ago, I think. It's a business model and it's really up to them. The insistence, right? And I've heard that from other solar developers. Yes.
We had a meeting last week with our town assessor and our town attorney about this ruling, and his feeling was that they overruled it on the process that the governor went through, and that the governor overstepped what she should have done. And what our attorney felt is that the governor is gonna bring this back through the assembly and Senate the way it should have been done initially, and that this will end up being the way it is, the way it was. Things are not gonna change, because it's what the governor wants. She just didn't do the process properly. So they recommended to us that we don't change anything, we just keep going wherever, we don't change assessments, we don't do anything. We just assume things are the way they were, cause they think that's the way it's gonna be.
I mean, questions relative to home rule are part of this, right? You know, whether or not the state has the authority to tell municipalities what to assess property at, it's really a home rule action.
But I guess it wasn't overturned on home rule, they initially
Yeah.
said it was, but then they said, no, it was really the governor and handle it.
Yep. For what it's worth, and you know, without pointing
I
naming
wouldn't have no
any particular people, I know there's been a lot of local consternation about the state's authority on telling an assessor what to value property at. Whether or not this bubbles up, or this creates an opportunity to shine a little more light on a situation at the Senate or the Assembly, and you know, folks will maybe understand this a little differently than the first go around when the governor just kinda, I don't remember exactly how this even got into place, but in any case, lots of question marks, we'll see how it all plays out, but wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. FYI, there is another $100 million in the FASTNR budget proposed by the governor for this upcoming fiscal year. Wayne County, IDA is a recipient of this funding through Fast New York based on an application we put together 6 or 8 months ago. So $100,000 grant matched by $100,000 in project planning funds by the IDA. We'll see where the budget comes out when this goes out to bid, but it's a 50-50 cost share to do a water, wastewater, infrastructure, capacity study countywide. So we've talked about this, I don't need to bore you too much, but capacity and distribution assets throughout the county are a question mark when it comes to business attraction stuff. So talk to the water authority about this a lot. Every time there's a project kicking tires, saying, hey, what sites are available, lots of detailed questions on capacity. And we're not always able to answer those, frankly, and kind of puts us a little behind the game. So trying to attempt to get ahead of the game. The plan is to just evaluate infrastructure countywide, develop a bit of a game plan if or when. I did just get some estimates of some aggregation of numbers on business attraction projects and what their capacity demand is when they come to the region. So this is through GRE, they get project XYZ is looking for X amount of acres and this amount of water and this amount of sewer capacity and this amount of power and all the other things. So I have an idea about different industries and what their demands are. So we start to game plan for not make investments speculatively, but at least we would know if a company like Fairlife came to the table and said, hey, I need a lot of water and a lot of sewer capacity, that we would have an understanding of what the improvements would be and what the cost would be associated with accommodating a project like that. Julie,
Just a comment, the Supervisor Williamson had his report in this week's Times of Wayne County, and I thought it was a really interesting read. I recommend it to understand water and some of the challenges that they have. And he actually said that, and this was surprising to me, but not, Mott's buys half of the water that Williamson brings out of the lake. And that's what really supports their water infrastructure, is that water that Mott's buys. So they need a lot of work. I was so shocked to know that they only go 20 foot out, or 20 foot down and not very far out to pull their water. I mean, they were mucked up with slush.
Yeah.
So
Got some issues
there are some issues there, and they really need to make some infrastructure improvements, which they're working on doing apparently. But it's a really good example of where money would be really nice to be able to make available to the town of Winooski, because it's a proven winner, their water capacity, but they just have to improve some of that infrastructure big time to continue it, reliably,
a lot of this is based on looking forward, right, and necessary improvements to accommodate new development, but if Mott's was interested in growing, it sounds like they'd probably be pretty bottlenecked.
I think they're a proven winner,
I'll stop there.
Good.
Anything else IDA?
That's it,
Any other business, no other business?
Not that I can.
No, yeah, we're good.
Okay. So,
I had a question on, are we at the full report to the county? Or that you did, Brian?
is there any report?
Yeah. I just had a question on the broadband. Cause there's still 28, I guess they're BSL or areas, I don't know.
BSLs is a great way to say it, that's a very accurate way of calling it.
Well, it's what it's in there, but I'm
Broadband
assuming that's
serviceable
areas
location.
that don't have something.
They're not, some places don't have addresses, so we don't see addresses.
Okay, well, that was my question, are the 28, are they addresses, are they areas, geographic areas, towns, and where
They're
are they?
parcels, so
Okay.
some of them might not necessarily have address, it's the federal way of describing
Okay,
potentially serviceable location, BSLs, yeah.
and where are they?
The majority of them are in the southeastern portion of the county.
And is it the committee that's gonna oversee that work getting done? Cause it seems like it's gone on, I think your report said by second quarter in 25, the rest will be resolved.
Well, so the
That's how I read it.
county head, Dave knows this well, is the chair of the county's broadband committee,
Great.
now. But I'll say, so, the county went out to bid and is in the process of reviewing responses. And we're moving forward and getting prepared to bring a proposal to the county.
for those 28 properties.
Okay,
For the rest of the overall broadband, a couple sticky points, but it looks like, I would say probably 95%, if not more, will be done. Early summer.
We're 90% today.
Yeah.
And we're just working through some permitting. There's a lot of DEC involvement on lakeshore stuff because it's different habitat, right? There's lakeshore and ecology and everything associated with it. So working through some of those nuances, but that's the last pieces of the large existing project that the county is working through right now. So getting through permitting and working on timing on seasonality of property uses up on the lakeshore is what we're working through now. And then evaluating responses to the county's proposal to get those last 28 served. We're in the process of doing that right now.
Yeah, the biggest hurdle left is getting out to the islands, Sodas Bay and out to the Crescent Beach area in Sodas Bay. You know what, I think we'll be all finished real soon, except for those areas.
yeah, well, that makes sense, I mean, that's pretty complicated.
Yeah.
So then it's north and east, not south.
South and east for the 28.
No, the 28, yeah.
And
There's
that's
about
what it is.
There's
75 to 100.
10% left on the large project that we're under contract with Spectrum on now.
Okay,
10% left. That's the barrier bar and Sodas Bay and the islands. The last 28 is a gap we're looking to backfill and finalize and complete.
are there any, other than the residential, are there any industry that we're holding up that don't have what they need?
Are there businesses that don't have internet access?
Parker's over there,
Yeah.
What's that?
Parker Hampton in the southeast quadrant,
They probably have their own.
I would assume,
Parker, A Tech?
yeah, sorry.
That's okay. No, they have internet, they have internet
Old
access.
school.
They're sort of, they have that,
And the
they have
school
internet.
and all that, so this is more just residential, right?
This is pretty much the hard to reach stuff that, yeah, you know, pretty rural, pretty off the regular grid here, but
Okay.
The county's goal from the beginning, which is going way back 10 plus years.
Right,
yeah.
It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, the goal has always been to make sure everybody who is unserved gets service, and we're 10% and 28 addresses away from getting that done.
I think the biggest issue is the schools, because obviously the school has it, but there's a lot of kids that go home with these Chromebooks.
And don't.
And they
Yeah,
can't get things done, so that's where I hear the bigger issues are, more than the businesses per se.
Yes, because having availability to have it and then affording to buy it
Yes,
are two different things.
because they get the Chromebook, but
Can't use it.
this is great.
There's
Sit in my
one.
car, you-
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Only 30% of people that have availability are signing on. A low number.
And that's with Spectrum versus for any service.
With this new service, that people that are getting the service brought to them.
I know Spectrum wanted $900 to bring the service up to us. And so I think there is a cost to the
Yeah.
subscriber that maybe a lot of people with long driveways aren't willing to.
I think another
To do.
important
But, sorry.
point about that though is that, like, who's in the county right now is gonna look very different as time progresses, and people who are a lot younger that we want to attract and to bring into the county, they might not be willing to move to a place if it doesn't have internet, just because it's so integrated into
That's
like
my
their
point.
everyday
Yeah,
life.
I know.
So,
It's
I
been a
think
big
that
problem.
over time you'll see those
And then the
numbers.
cost
Will
of it,
technology beat this
Right.
though, this broadband?
well,
It
hope
seems
so.
like,
You would,
I
Like
mean,
satellites and,
Hard infrastructure is, especially lately, has been proven, so the cable as opposed to the satellite service is proven. It's very significantly more reliable than satellite service, and there was a decision point when we started reviewing the big project at the county, what type of service or, fixed wireless is a way to describe the sort of towers to radios to wireless to houses or businesses. And FCC, lots of discussion, lots of recommendations, and initially, American Recovery Act funds, which is a significant part of the county's contribution, was only funding fiber, or fiber to the home, or fiber to the premises, we say sometimes. But the current agreement with the county is, and Spectrum is 1,500 feet off of the nearest access point. It's available to every potential new customer,
1,500 foot,
1,500.
we got a tape measure. Maybe something changed.
It was significantly lower.
Yeah, it
I think their
was
standard
lower.
install is, I
We
wanna say
changed it.
300 or 500, I can't remember which one it is.
And we just
From,
did
I think it's 300 feet from the road, it might be 500, but 1,500's 3 times as far. It was part of it was, well, so the fire departments keep a 1,500 foot fire hose to get from a hydrant to a home. That was the basis for determining, what's a reasonable distance for someone to consider covering from the front of my house to the front of the road, or the connection point there at the road.
I will say Brian has worked very hard to get us to that 90% point with Charlie. I appreciate all the work you've done.
Great.
It's not just me, but thank you.
It'll be interesting just over time how, their business model, and will they survive? Cause they're losing people to other competitors and Greenlight and other ways. And so they just raise everybody else's prices long term. Can they survive?
There's a mandated affordable component to, I think all service providers are required to provide an affordable plan within it, so it's their standard or their lowest standard level of service, I think is 300 megabytes per second. This is all just download. But I think they provide an affordable one that is 100, which frankly is still, I think, pretty fast considering what I think we all got used to growing up. It's significantly slower speeds if any, but there is an affordable plan available through Spectrum for customers who are interested in it, or who qualify, I should say. Anything else in IDA? We can move forward.
In all the business, the next IDA meeting is on April 22nd at 9:10. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll wait for Katie, and we'll move on to
Oh, it's hard stopping at 10:30.
It's birthday.
The problem is when you move this, that put it on the same day that I have the only. So it's just, we can do it, it's just we have to be here.
Are you good?
Let's push like that.
Let's see how the year goes, and then we'll consider a different day.
Yeah, I know
EDC,
Brendan,
yes.
We already published our
Pam's
schedule.
got issues too, so we solve this, we just.
Alright,
Yeah,
so it's
want to call
Normally
I'll
we're
order
good,
the,
so that's why I didn't really mind it again.
EDC meeting? Then the the minutes, I have a motion to approve the minutes unless there are any concerns.
So moved. I wasn't there.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Do you need the, no discussion on that?
They are online,
Okay,
maybe
okay, Mara and Chris, are you ready?
Alright.
No,
Just as we, anything on EDC.
thank you,
wanna add?
Linda, I didn't mean to say it like that, Mara, you jumped out. Unless there's any particular highlights that you wanna point out on EDC, just wanted you guys available in case there were questions from the board members on any of the particulars, but again, reviewed this morning by Audit and Finance Committee on with a recommendation to the board to accept and approve
So moved.
posting.
Second.
Okay. So we're going to have resolution 4, all in favor?
Aye.
So we're on resolution 5,
Sorry if I can always call Mara back if they happen to have CFDC questions.
That's right.
Okay. Mara, is that okay? If we happen to have CFDC questions, I'll call you back, then, okay?
Yeah, right.
Alright, well, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
line number 5,
Did we do number 4 and approve that? Okay, 5, yes.
okay, resolution accepting and authorizing the present 2024 annual investment report and annual procurement report to New York State. Control Pass.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're on 6, resolution authorizing contract with lawn care services and brush hog clearing services.
We are wrapping up, well, we just finished our contract in 2024 for our Silver Hill lawn care services and brush hog clearing estimates. So we went out to bid in early February. We reached out to over 23 local landscape companies in the county. We also put it on our website and put it in the Times of Wayne County. We received only one estimate for lawn care services, which is Lowry's Lawn and Landscaping.
Where are they?
They are located here in the town of Lyons. Yep. They were actually our previous one for the past 2 years. Normally, we do receive at least 2 bids. It's been Q and Lowry's for many years,
Right.
since 2019. But Q has been sort of stepping back their landscaping services. They've
Yeah.
been more of doing
These
equipment.
meetings, yeah.
And so Lowry's has, they won the bid back in 2023 and they have submitted a bid for this year. We do allow them to do it for 3-year estimates. And then for brush hog clearing, we received 2 estimates, Lowry's and Arcadia Services. So the resolution has it for Lowry's for 3 years. But we've done 2 years, we've done 3 years, it's just the one thing we are noticing is that every single time we go up to bid, the price increases.
Questions?
But you open it up, people have an
It's
opportunity,
amazing,
right?
no
So,
one-
I know, it's kinda crazy.
Yeah.
Is there any caveat in your contract with Lowry's that if fuel were to increase to a
Yeah,
certain
they have
level, that they
something in there?
would be
Nope.
eligible to get more money?
Nope.
That's kind of right.
She did enough to negotiate.
I'll make a
Any other questions?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You said they were running excavators in that long.
I know, it's
Yeah. They wouldn't be able to
Get
bid
that
out
crusher
3
going
years.
that I used to own, that
Yeah.
wasn't-
Okay, Jamie's up, fiscal officer's report.
Next we have the
It's $5,000
bank balances of the 18th, as of the 18th. Everything is pretty much respective to December's balances as well. Budget versus actuals, we did have a couple income come in, that's from the IDA, that's for the accountant services, that's from 1099, 1098 filings. We had interest for the loans come in, but we have seen a bunch of expenses going out, including we updated a sign at Silver Hill. with depreciation. Over the next month, we do see more loan interest coming in along with the county reimbursements, with contractual expenses and the, Silver Hill mowing going out. Loan aging, we have a couple of them here, overall with just notes. Our average days receivable are still at net 30. And we can see that with the chart here as well.
Questions for Jamie?
No.
Project update?
Yeah, well, we had, the adult pitch competition, applications were due on March 14th. We received 10 applications, one of them was unfortunately not qualified, they were just pretty much block away from being a Wayne County resident, so they did not qualify. Although they had a Palmyra address, so they assumed that they were. Yes, yep. So we have 9 official applicants who are moving forward to the judge's review. We had 2 score workshops in February and they went really well. The first one, we had 29 people sign up, 13 were at the workshop 1, 12 were at workshop 2. And then we also had 12 people contact me about getting the workshops if they were not able to attend in person. So that's roughly around 38 people participated in workshops, whether remotely or in person. So it was a really good year, even though we did have to switch the timing. We're now in the review process and our final event will be April 30th and we'll be at a new location at Newark High School. And then Ariel, you wanna provide an update on the student?
Yeah, sure. So we had our student deadline was just 1 week past that. It was on Friday. And we got 5 total schools to participate, which was really exciting. 3 of those were new schools. We saw a little bit more, not like a ton, but we did see a little bit of an increase in the number of applications. So it was around 8, I think, 8 or 9, with one of the applications as a group. So I think there were around 10 students that participated. So that's really exciting, and we will be announcing the winner for the student division at the adult pitch final event.
Yes.
So
That's great.
Question for you on the youth promotion, is P-TECH part of that?
yes, they are. Actually, P-TECH, I thought that their students were going to get in an application because I had talked to a teacher who said that they were, but I didn't see anything come through. So today's Tuesday, so I don't think anything's come in the mail. We do allow things to come through that way, but I haven't seen anything. And we do have one student that is a BOCES, like works through BOCES or is with BOCES program. And then we did have a team out of East Palmyra Christian School, so we do reach out to the schools that are.
I mean, P-TECH, not all of the students are from Wayne County, so I don't know if that would exclude them. I know that last week they had a huge Shark Tank competition there.
Did they?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, because they were doing that, that's why the teacher reached out and said, hey, you know, we're doing this programming and some of the students are gonna be submitting for the competition, but I didn't see anything, so I was just really surprised because I had anticipated getting some from them, so I don't know, you know, it's really up to the students at the end of the day to make sure that they're getting in their application and the things that they need, so but it was really exciting on Friday to have this, like a bunch of students came in and to get talked to us, so.
That's a good point too, like with Wayne Tech Center, BOCES. Because not all the schools participate, probably reaching out to Pete Bolt about the program would be great, because that way the schools that don't know about it, those kids go to BOCES and that would be the first time for them hearing it. And I've been getting a ton of kids from BOCES, and I'm gonna tell you what, I've got some great kids that wanna be entrepreneurs, you know, and they're looking for getting into at least my field, machining, engineering, fab, and you know, they're gung ho because they're looking at the tech to springboard them into that owning my own business, all that kind of thing. So just a thought, cause that'll get you spread out to those schools that are not participating. Does that make sense?
When I have reached out to the schools, advertising for like traditional methods doesn't quite work, and
Right.
so that's why we've taken the approach to directly reach with staff at the schools.
Yeah.
But in terms of and this year we did flyers to actually like dropped off flyers to have them hang on the walls, and I did send out like a script for morning announcements, which I know some of the schools did. So but you just never know, and even though we did start working with the schools far in advance, you know, a lot of youth, it's like, oh no, the deadline's in a week, gotta get, which I think is very difficult, you know,
Yeah.
it takes time for youth to learn time management and to learn how to, you know, schedule things out and make sure that they're getting their work done at a time, so, I think those are like natural, challenges for the program that I don't, but, I will continue to work more directly with them.
I have a good connection for you for that P-TECH if you need,
Yeah,
Just
that's
to-
always welcome.
if you wanna go in and do a presentation on what, so.
It's very difficult, the schools are like prisons, you cannot, even
Don't ask my daughter about
talking to
that.
the schools and they know me, like, you
Yeah.
cannot get into them, you
Yeah.
can get into like a front entry
Yeah.
doorway, but then not even,
Yeah.
so it's not as easy as me trying to set up an appointment to like go in and like meet with the teacher and really get to know them a little bit more, it's like, oh my gosh, hi, I'm over here. So, but yes, I will take you up on that and your comments.
Any other project updates?
Small Business Week,
Let's move on to,
Small Business Week.
Good.
We just opened up nominations for that, it's on our website and I'll follow up after our meeting.
Celebrating Small Business Week, basically asking folks to nominate their favorite small business. We'll recognize folks sort of bottom up grassroots sort of nomination process to shine
We've
some light
already
on it.
received some responses too.
Great.
I just got this email this morning.
okay, executive director updates?
I'll take a motion to go into executive session to talk about finances, please.
Second. Okay, we're out of executive session, we'll be in contact with everyone if we need a special meeting. Brian, anything else?
No.
Okay, any other business?
The only thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if everybody's seen, but the Myers Community Hospital is for sale.
I just saw
The hospital's fine, I just wanna make that note, we're doing fine. We have, obviously, I think most people know, we've combined Clifton with Newark, but everything's going fine. I just wanted to state that because I know, rumors happen and all of a sudden, oh my God, Myers is selling and North Wayne's closing. No, everything's fine.
That's what will go around.
It will,
Not
and
any news for other than
And that's
that.
the thing, I mean, we're doing, because we combined both hospitals, we're now called Eastern Region. And what we're trying to do is just kind of restructure and do what should go there, what should go here, but the problem is, people are hearing snippets, and then the next thing you know, oh, Newark's closing, but it's not. I was just at a board meeting last night, everything's fine, we're just working down through. Yeah, the biggest thing we're working through right now is the agency nursing and trying to get that out because it costs so much, so we're really doing a lot of.
Because of my ambulance service, they just hear it to promote the salary.
So we're just trying to restructure that and getting full-time nursing on, so, but that's what's going on.
Okay.
So far, no takers on the Myers.
We'll get to
The
that
roof,
too.
the roof is
Well,
really bad, that's gonna be a really big problem, trying to sell that building. And right next to it is medical offices, and they're still up and going and everything's fine there, so they're still operating out of there, some doctors are up there, there's some dermatologists, et cetera.
Dr. Chaudhry.
Yeah, so they're all still functioning in there, it's that the main hospital has been completely neglected and that whole roof is. So whoever does buy it, it's gonna be an expense on top of.
Be a great housing.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
Yeah.
Something could
This
come
was
in and really
appropriate,
do something for
yeah.
sodas, I think would be great.
Okay.
I know we're very crunched here, but we still have CFDC to go through as far as
The next
hammer
EDC
through that day.
is April 22nd, a motion to adjourn.
Did we come out of executive session?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. Okay, how do we?
All in favor of adjourning, and we'll move on to the next.
Sorry.
Let me know when you're ready.
We are good, I was just slow, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna call to order the Wayne County Civic Facility Development Corporation meeting. Motion to approve the January 28th, 2025 minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's move to 3, resolution to approve county contract and shared services agreement between agencies.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna, I don't see any reason to bring back the audit people, they don't have any
No question.
questions, okay? Let's move on to 5, resolution to accept certified financial audit report and annual Paris report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
6, resolution accepting and authorizing the presented 2024 annual investment report and annual procurement report to New York State and BO Paris.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So on to fiscal officer's report.
I didn't know if you wanted to talk about moving any of these funds to interest bearing.
Yeah, I think we should consider it, like we talked together, I think it's,
Why not?
Yeah, if we could move, what do you want to move
So I-
50%?
So this is,
Those 24 is for the loan program.
yes, exactly, so I think that should stay there, for when, if a loan, Myers Hospital or Humane Society, something like that comes up. But we do have this about 76,000 in operating, so we can move majority of that to an interest bearing account.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, let me take a look around, that'll probably take a resolution to make a new account somewhere, for CFDC. And I'll come up with a plan.
Okay.
Sounds good.
About that, come on.
Yes, well, CFDC doesn't meet till October, so we might need a special meeting. We can do that.
Yeah, if we have our April 4th special meeting, we'll.
Yeah, I agree, okay, I'll work on it. He's gonna go on vacation, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll be done by 9:30.
Okay, sorry, is this the next part? Is this the third?
So,
But if you're on vacation, we can still bring up the resolution, right? You don't have to be here.
We don't have to do it at that special meeting, I mean, we could have a special meeting in April, at the
next
regular
one,
April meeting, if that's easier. It gives you more time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine, I mean, that might be easier.
Did we approve investment and procurement reports?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just keep going if that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, bank balances, again, they have not changed, in the past year. The only thing that did happen was the loan got paid off in June. And your budgets, you're in the black with net income, and that's from the county quarterly funds. So moving that $75,000-ish, would be totally fine, because you're gonna get reimbursed by the county for expenses. That just goes over our internal, controls and the assessment of it.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Nothing particular for CFDC, I know we're close for time here.
Okay, the next meeting for CFDC is the 21st.
It actually should be the 28th, I think I was just looking at the board of supervisors meeting today, so it's actually the week after, which is the 18th.
Okay, October 28th at 9:10.
Technically, that'll change to April anyways, but
Okay, so
28th.
a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for the time this morning, especially those who came in bright and early for